Hello. We are online actually. We are live, right? Okay, so welcome to the Pet Quarter. My name is Sam. I'm a dog and cat nutritionist, and today we are going to answer some of your questions. First question, it's more of a comment really. I have been a dedicated Purina pet owner pretty much my whole life, where my parents and their parents, etc., never had one incident where I was concerned with my product quality or Purina being at fault. I have, however, been short on money and unable to purchase the same type of Purina food which induced diarrhea or vomiting to some of my animals. But all pretty owners should know that any abrupt change in diet can upset an animal's digestive tract. That's not Purina's fault. Thank you for the question. I am not the biggest fan of Purina. We don't recommend their products. We don't like their ingredients. In the UK, you have sugar or sugar derivatives in their pet food. We don't like it. We don't recommend it, especially for cats. I mean, for dogs as well. We have a lot of meat and animal derivatives, or in the States, we have a lot of natural flavors. As you can see, if you are in the States, it's not a brand we like. It's not a brand that's very nutritious in our opinion. For example, it's very carb heavy, it's very grain heavy, and grains, for example, are very low in leucine being one of the three essential amino acids. Amino acids being pretty important for muscle protein synthesis in dogs, keeping muscle mass, that sort of thing. We don't like Purina products. They are very popular. I know they are very popular, but you do make a good point that sometimes people will get a little bit antsy, change the recipe, and then get upset whenever things don't go their way, or their dog or cat has a bit of an upset, and that's sometimes their problem. So yes, I do agree with you on that front. The second question. Funny, my vet just recommended prescription diets after I've been giving my dog organic vegetables. I'm not going to feed him that canned crap. Now, it's interesting because anytime we talk about adding veggies to our dogs' diets, a lot of people give it to them raw, and let me tell you something, they cannot break down the cellulose in their mouth, and so they aren't going to get the goodies from the vegetables or the fruits. So all the antioxidants, all the minerals, all the polyphenols, as we call them in the industry, you aren't going to be able to do that if you give them raw. What you need to do is puree vegetables if you are going to give it to your dog, so that they can break them down. Now, dogs don't have something called salivary amylase, which is the enzyme that breaks down starches in the mouth. So it's redundant to give it to them. They aren't going to get the goodies from them. So yes, don't feed them raw. If you want to give your dog raw vegetables, do not do that. Cook them instead. Lightly cook them so that you can flash cook them, so that you can break down the cellulose, so you can puree them so that they can absorb those polyphenols, as it were. So that's it. I don't like prescription diets. The ingredients are shocking. As we have said many times on the channel, we have exposed the veterinary industry for what it is. In our opinion, it's an agglomeration of business interests more than anything, and I don't like it. A lot of the big corporations of pet food companies will have big stakes in veterinarians, and that's not what we like. What we like is unbiased advice, and that's why we don't like it. But yes, sugar derivatives, meat and animal derivatives in a lot of like Purina products, and vague animal fats in Hill's and Royal Canin, and your dehydrated poultry proteins and that sort of thing. What we want to do is give our dogs or cats the best ingredients possible, because at the end of the day, as I always say, if you have one of these, for a baby, they can tell you whatever you want on the front they can say minerals and vitamins and whatever, but this contains wheat starch and sugar and palm oil. So I wouldn't give a baby sugar and palm oil. So it doesn't really matter what they say on the front. What I want to do is on the back of the bag, I want to see what's what, basically. Cats. I have a Maine Coon, and when I got her, the first thing I did was to change her food because she came from the breeder eating Royal Canin, which is so bad for any cat. Gladly, she was still 3 months old, so I was able to transition her to healthier cat food. So, Royal Canin Maine Coon or Royal Canin cat and cat food is a disaster. I have a cat. Cats are obligate carnivores. They have no dietary requirement for carbohydrates whatsoever, yet a lot of the most prevalent commercial cat foods will be plagued with grains, will be plagued with potato, will be very, very carb heavy. I don't want my cat eating carb heavy meals. They are carnivores. They are inherent carnivores. I don't like it. I really, really don't like it. So if you have a cat and you have a question about your cat, please submit it. Happy to answer any questions about allergies, about sensitivities, about gut issues, allergies, that sort of thing. Low-fat dog food. Hi there, Katie says. I'm looking at the recipes, and by the way, we have many recipes on thepetquarter.co.uk, or if you are watching this on YouTube, go watch it on YouTube and you will see a lot of the products we have in terms of homemade dog food recipes, etc, etc. I'm looking at the recipes and I'm curious exactly what is meant by the 10% carcass or bone. Will that mean serving my dog a raw chicken wing or chicken feet or something like that with the meal? Thanks in advance. So dogs need 10% bone, give or take, in their diet. Bone is an essential part of a dog's diet. You must provide your dog with bone because they need it for dental health, they need it for calcium, they need it for all sorts of things. And so the best thing you can do is to give your dog a bone. Now, a lot of people will give their dogs big knuckle bones that they are pretty bad equipped to breaking down or to chew or whatever because they've never been given a bone. So if you are going to give your dog a bone, try to give your dog something small and manageable, something simple like a duck wing, like a goose wing, something manageable, and then you can move up the ladder. What I am simply saying is that 10% of your dog's overall diet should be bone, whether that's carcass and it's just the bone, whether it's just a bone, or whether it's a bone with some meat, like a drumstick, for example. The ratios there will be slightly different. You won't get just the bone. You will have to take the meat into account. What I'm saying is that you should give your dog bones. Can you cook bones? No, you can't cook bones. Don't cook bones. The shards will chip away, and that's potentially a very big vet bill, and we don't want any of those. So yes, raw bones are best. If your dog is a very small one, you can substitute it maybe with an eggshell, with raw eggshell, and you can give your dog an egg as well. So yes, give your dogs bones. They are pretty good. June Christie, but human grade raw food has a percentage of salmonella because it is assumed it will be cooked. Where are we meant to buy safe raw meat for dogs in London, and how do we know that it's safe? Right, there's a couple contradicting things here. Now, in terms of all raw meat contains salmonella, no, it doesn't. It's just that if the meat is good quality, if the meat is fresh, certain animals, just as dogs or cats, which are more carnivorous, well, dogs are more carnivorous than anything else, and cats are obligate carnivores, will have the enzymes, will have the pH, the acidity in the stomach to break down and to cope with the raw meat. If you eat raw chicken as a human being, yes, you will potentially poison yourself because you aren't a carnivore and neither am I. We are omnivores. Dogs, if you look at their canines, if you look at the fact that they can't chew food, etc., short intestines, that sort of thing, they are more carnivorous than anything else. So they are very, very well equipped to breaking down the enzymes. They are very well equipped to breaking down raw meat. Now, you don't have to, excuse me, you don't have to feed your dog raw meat if you don't want to, or feed them a raw diet. If you feed your dog a raw diet, I feed my dog and my cat a raw diet. What I want you to do is to get over the fact that at some point you might have a bit of an issue. And if you are happy with having a bit of an issue, having a bad batch, having whatever the case might be in terms of a problem or a potential problem when it comes to handling the meat, procuring the meat being left out for longer, what I'm trying to say is you have to be as responsible as possible as a raw feeder. And even then, as a responsible raw feeder, things might go wrong. And if you can internalize and if you can accept that, then everything else will be okay. So, how do we know that it's safe? Well, a lot of the manufacturers, especially in the UK, will be adhering to different trade bodies. They will do everything in their power to minimize the possibility of transmitting salmonella. And so, listen, if you're a raw feeder, you're a raw feeder. You don't really have to get indoctrinated in raw feeding. You will just be happy potentially paying the price, and you will be happy handling raw meat. And if you aren't, that's fine. Find a good kibble or find a good food for your dog and get over it. But being a bit trivial when it comes to raw feeding, I don't think is the best course of action. You either like it or you don't like it, and that's what it is, really. Now, why you should rethink veterinary prescription diets? That's true. I looked at the ingredients of Hill Science Diet Metabolic wet cat food. That stuff is garbage. No way I would ever feed that to my cat. So, a lot of cat foods, once again, will contain a lot of either sugar, a lot of cereals, a lot of meat and animal derivatives, a lot of rice, a lot of potato, things like that, things that aren't really biologically appropriate. So I don't like the ingredients in Hill's food. I don't think you should buy it, but I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. If you like it, if you're happy with it, then it is what it is. But I wouldn't feed my dog or cat a veterinary prescription diet. Absolutely not. So yeah. Now, this is a very interesting one. Let's not forget that assuming that dogs should eat meat because they ate meat in nature is an appeal to nature fallacy. You can't derive a prescriptive claim from a descriptive one. Very eloquent. Breakdown of the argument. Premise 1. Dogs naturally eat meat. Premise 2. What is naturally is morality, permissible, and good. Conclusion, it is morally permissible and good for dogs to eat meat. Premise 2 is a classic appeal to nature fallacy. So one replies here, found the vegan. And yes, I agree with that comment actually. So let's look at a dog's mouth. If you look at your dog's mouth, they cannot chew, so they cannot move their jaws sideways. So whenever me and you eat rice or bread or fruit or whatever, we break it down in the mouth. We can chew it. Dogs can chew it. They have very sharp canines to rip flesh apart, and they have carnassial teeth to crunch meat and bone. They have very short tracts. The T-Rex says raw is best. Yes, it is best in theory if you do it properly. If you totally do it properly and if you know what you're doing, raw is best, absolutely. But we see a lot of people who don't do raw properly, and that is a bit of a bummer, to be perfectly honest with you, T-Rex. But yeah, thank you for commenting. But yes, I'm a raw feeder. I'm a raw feeding advocate. I'm a raw feeding a person. We sell raw in our branches, and we like raw feeding, but we like people to do it properly. Anyway, back to this. Dogs don't have salivary amylase, which is the enzyme that breaks down the starches. So whenever me and you eat fruit or veg or rice or whatever, we break it down in the mouth. Dogs don't have this. They can break some carbohydrates in through the pancreas and kidneys, and they do secrete the right enzymes, but they can't operate in that environment of overloading them with starches. So you should feed your dog more meat than anything else. And on the back of every bag of food, no rice, no wheat, no barley, no corn, no meat and animal derivatives, no corn protein meal, no sugar derivatives, no dextrose, and none of this nonsense. So yeah, feed your dog more meat than anything else, my friend. My cat won't eat any commercial food. He's loving cooked ham and chicken while only drinking lactose milk. He won't touch water. We will be trying to get him onto raw food. Now, this is another bit of a case of someone who is trying to do things a bit of a weird way. So don't feed your cat things that have been overly processed with salt, for example. So cooked ham isn't the best for cats. Let's just say like that. Chicken, okay. Are you adding any offal, any bone, any heart, any liver, any kidney, any pancreas to your cat's diet? You can't just give your cat whatever you think is best for your cat. Is your cat catching mice outside and they get in everything they need from that, and then that's why they pick it inside? I don't know. I would have to know more about it. And so yeah, you can book a consultation online, etc., etc. Very interesting. Kuro Reaper, an OG. How chicken farming affects your dog's health. Chickens have now been bred to grow unnaturally fast and unnaturally large. There are huge health issues in this sort of chicken, which does affect the welfare of the animal. A lot of these birds suffer greatly due to genetics. On top of that, the majority are raised in factory farms or barns with very poor hygiene and welfare. Even free-range chickens suffer due to space, or some never actually get outside due to space, laws, bird flu. It is a huge issue in animal welfare in the farming sector that we all have to accept and do the best we can to feed our meat-eating animals. Whereas most humans have a choice of diets, dogs, cats, etc. don't and still need meat. This is a very, very eloquent comment from Kuro Reaper, who is a vegan, I believe. Kuro, you might I might not have that correct, but you always make incredibly good points. So this is why a lot of the most common allergens in dogs, and if your dog has a sensitivity, a gut issue, an allergy, etc., that's why we always maybe point to chicken, or people point to chicken. Oh, it could be a chicken intolerance. If you think about it, a chicken back in the day might have been roaming for weeks and months or whatever, pecking at nature and eating and exercising normally. Now that chicken is constrained into maybe a bit of a box or a barn or whatever. They can't really move. They are fed corn, and their diet, their hygiene, the environment isn't as good as it used to be. And so an organic free-range chicken that can go everywhere and is living happy and healthy and doesn't have any stress cannot be the same as a chicken that's constrained and can't move and is overly large, etc. And if you then put that low quality chicken in human food, we then have a case where the pet food industry is not going to get the best cuts of chicken for our animals. It's going to get what we don't want. Might that be carcasses, might that be trimmings, might that be beaks and feathers and that sort of thing, and they call it chicken. All right, okay. So we have a devalued product, an enlarged chicken, and we then do not get the prime cuts of meat of that chicken for our animals. I do believe that that does affect the welfare of our animals. And so yes, if you have a dog with an allergy, read the back of the ingredients. No wheat, beef or chicken. Then don't feed your dog anything vague like meat and animal derivatives, no sugars, no cereals. But yes, chicken tends to be one of those proteins that can be a bit of an allergen and a culprit whenever it comes to allergies. And so yes, try to divert away from chicken. Find something rare. Don't go into pork and don't go into whatever. Go to kangaroo, go to quail, go to sardines, go to goat. How about, wild boar, reindeer, whatever the case might be. Choose a rare meat and only stick with that meat. Maybe salmon, omega-3s, anti-inflammatories, that sort of thing. But yeah, fantastic comment as ever by Kuro Reaper. My vet recommends Royal Canin kibble for my cat. I would highly suggest against that because of what we've been discussing actually. Carb heavy food. Cats can't process carbohydrates. I absolutely wouldn't. What is the best dog food then? I was about to buy one food here, but I don't know anymore. Interesting, very very interesting. So I would say that this is one of the questions that what is the best dog food? What's the best dog food? What's the best cat food? The best dog food or the best cat food is the best quality dog food you can afford that you can find in your country. We have a worldwide audience and people from India, from Switzerland, from the States, from the UK and from Malaysia and Gabon are listening and watching. So I don't really know what access you have to certain brands or certain dog foods or cat foods or whatever the case might be. High meat content, as much meat content as you can afford, and as low carbohydrates as you can afford. So, no rice, no wheat, no barley, no corn, no natural flavors, no dextrose, no, nothing like this. And we want to see free-range chicken. Want to see dried sweet potato. We want to see reindeer. We want to see quail. We want to see salmon. Freshly prepared salmon. Raw sardines. We want to see things like that. Whether that's a kibble, whether that's raw, whether that's canned or whatever the case might be. We want to see wholesome ingredients. Organic broccoli, organic carrots, organic this, organic that. Low carbohydrates, high meat content. If your budget is $100, then your budget is $100. If your budget is $50, your budget is $50. The principles are the same. You can buy tremendous foods for quite cheap if you go independent. If you go to the biggest commercial cat foods, dog foods, they will not be able to give you a good deal. But if you give your chance to an up-and-coming food, you might get a 60 to 70% bag of dog food, 60 to 70% being protein, and that's great. That's fantastic. That's phenomenal. A bit of sweet potato there, a little bit of potato maybe, a tiny bit of potato, and you're fine. Now, don't get something that is too massified, because the bigger a brand is, the harder it gets for that brand to be organic or to be regional when it comes to their ingredients. If you think about it, right, if I have 10 organic eggs and I see and I sell my 10 organic eggs every single week, I know where I'm farming the eggs. I know everything in the environment. I know everything is the best quality eggs. If I now have to give you 1,000,000 eggs a week and I have to source them from different farms, I start losing control a little bit. I'm not saying that the eggs aren't good or the eggs won't be up to par or whatever. I'm just saying I'm not there with the chickens and I'm not there overseeing absolutely everything. That probably is a good extrapolation onto the pet food. Go down to your local pet shop and they might be able to help you. High meat, low carb. That's the best dog food. Try to keep it simple, you know. Our cockapoo no longer has the runs because he's on a raw food diet. The right nutrition is key. Also, stay clear of kennels. They are family and need us as much as we need them. Love, love, love. Well, listen, raw is not for everyone, but I am a raw feeding advocate. As long as the food is good, as long as you are, as long as you are providing your dog with the best food possible, that's all you can do. That's everything you can do in your power. And yes, good nutrition is key. Try to follow the whole prey ratios, trying to follow the 80-10-10, 80% being meat, 10% being offal, of which 5% is liver, 10% is bone. But that is a bit of and I've made plenty of videos on this on the channel. Go on YouTube, The Pet Quarter, you will see all the channels. And if your dog has sensitivities, if your dog has any sort of allergies, we have done many free seminars on nutrition and they are well worth a watch. They will save you hundreds of dollars or hundreds of pounds. All the stuff the vets sell us in their cereals and kibble. Okay, so what this viewer says is that a lot of their veterinary prescription diets are very cereal heavy, and that is true. That's why we don't recommend them, basically. So I made a video on the importance of addressing pet obesity, and Emma says, yes, I'm so sick of seeing pet obesity being glamorized on social media. It's a serious health problem for your pets and is being encouraged by ignorance and literal neglect. Absolutely. So whenever it comes to having a fat dog or a fat cat, that is literally the catalyst for so many other health issues. Pancreatitis, diabetes, recurring, all sorts of things. So whenever you put weight on, you develop something called adipose tissue, right? Which is excess fat, and that stores adipocans, and these are inflammatory markers, and they are pretty bad for you. So especially as your dog or cat gets older, what you need to do is trim them and make sure they aren't fat. Do not have an overweight dog. And if you do have a dog with pancreatitis, diabetes, or any health issues whatsoever, try to slim them down. So feed them less. Just feed them less. Whatever you're doing, feed them less. It isn't funny. It isn't, it's not cute. It's not, I don't like it. Like this lady says, Emma, it's a serious health problem. It is a very, very serious health issue. So I would not recommend having an overweight dog. Do everything in your power to slim your dog down, and your dog's health will absolutely improve as a result. So a couple last ones really. Yes, sorry, but there is no saccharose in kibble. No white sugar in the kibble ingredients. There is no. I never said there was. I never said there was saccharose in kibble. All I'm saying is there was sugar and sugar derivatives. So whenever we say sugar or sugar derivatives, sometimes sugar or sugars in UK legislation, I'm not really too sure about US legislation. If it says various sugars, even if it says various sugars, it can be just one sugar. And that's not something we like. We don't like to see sugar or sugars or dextrose or any sort of sugars. So forget about sucralose. Forget about dextrose. Forget about anything else. We don't like sugar. So this is an oxymoron. What do we see whenever it comes to whenever we talk about saccharose in kibble or white sugar in kibble ingredients? It doesn't have to be white sugar in kibble. I don't like sugar in kibble. I don't like sugar in baby biscuits, even though they say it has all the nutrients and minerals and everything. I just don't like it. So and this is the case about Purina. So Purina Hypoallergenic, which is the most recommended dog food here in the United Kingdom by veterinarians, that contains sugar. I'm very sorry, but irrespective of what any veterinarian says or does or recommends, I am not giving my dog sugar. I don't care if it's dextrose, saccharose, sucralose, or fructose or whatever. I do not like to give my dog sugar. Now, fructose is a bit different because it comes from fruit, and whenever you eat an apple, that apple contains sugar. Yes, it contains sugar, but it's not. It's not the same because it's together with fiber, so it gets metabolized different in the liver. So I'm not saying that, but whenever these companies add sugar, they don't add sugar for the benefit of the dog. They get the benefit, they add it so that to increase palatability of the food. They don't add it because they think it's good or bad for the dog. They add it because they think it's gonna be more palatable. You're gonna buy it again, and the dog is gonna eat it again, and the cat is gonna buy it again and again and again, or eat it again and again and again. So I don't like sugar in pet food. I am a huge advocate for the removal of sugar in pet food. And whenever we get a lot of the consultations we do in our branches or online, a lot of the sugars, a lot of the ingredients in the pet food you guys are feeding, that's what's costing you a lot of money. And then you are going to, what's the best probiotic? What's the best supplement? My dog is on steroids. My dog is on this treatment, that treatment. But your dog is on Aldi food, the dog is on supermarket food, the dog is on, a cereal-based food, the dog is on meat and animal derivatives and sugar. How do you expect the dog to be treated for diabetes properly if you're giving the dog McDonald's every single day? That does not make any sense. You should study nutrition, and so that's what we are here. We are here to do, really. So if you have any questions about nutrition or you have a problem with your dog or cat, we can totally help. And by the way, we have the 10 commandments of dog health, how to feed your dog better. You can find a link below. How to feed your dog better is a free guide, and you can download it, and it will explain to you how to feed your dog better. We put it together because we are pretty tired of people wasting a lot of money on vet visits, and that's what we try to do. We try to save people a lot of money, and so that's what we do, really. Let me know if you have any more questions, and we will be concluding very soon. So let me see if you have any other questions, and then we are really going to